Hey, Slaw Doggers, Taylor here with Scott and Angela from Valerie's house. We're super excited to bring these two together so we can learn more about Valerie's house and how we can continue to support them. So, Angela, what is the purpose of Valerie's house?
Valerie's house is a special place for children and families who have lost someone. And when I say lost, I mean died. Oftentimes, we may use the word loss, and it might mean multiple things. But with Valerie's house, we're really honed in on kids and families who have had someone pass away. And mainly families where the parent has died or even a child in the family has passed away. What we do is non-traditional. It's not a clinical counseling center. It's more about family to family, child to child, dad to dad, with the goal that they know they're not alone. We use a lot of art and music and journaling to allow families the opportunity to express what they're feeling after the death of someone that they love. A lot of times with grief, it's something that is taboo and is uncomfortable for a lot of people who haven't lost someone. So at Valerie's house, every family that walks through these doors has gone through it. So their ability to connect and support each other is invaluable.
Mm. Angela, it gives me chills just to hear that. And if you don't mind me asking, Angela, how did you get involved with Valerie's house?
Mm.
Valerie was my mother, and she died in 1987 in a car accident in Fort Myers, Florida. Um, I was going into the sixth grade at the time. It was the summer before my sixth grade year. I was the oldest of two, and my dad and my mom had been married since high school, since right after high school, Fort Myers High. So our family goes back pretty deep in Southwest Florida. And what we didn't have after my mom died was a place to go. We didn't even know anyone who had lost a mom. And my dad often says he didn't know anyone who had lost a wife as a young man. So, what that did for our family was it caused us to grieve in silence. I often didn't ever talk about my mom. I didn't want anyone to feel sorry for me or to take pity on me, especially my friends. And I didn't want my dad to feel bad. So it was like this mix of emotion where I just stuffed it and pretended like it never happened. And it caught up to me, later in the years in college and some other milestones. And I'd never want another family to have to go through what my family did. I truly believe, and I've seen it here, that if given the ability to just see hope, as my dad said, he said, Angela, I just needed to know there was hope after I lost my wife and the mother of my children. I just needed to see someone who had gotten through it. And so that's the power of the family to family program that we have here, is that a lot of these families are seeing others who are going through it and who are coming out on the other side, and that's just enough of a lifeline for them to hold on to. And our mission at Valerie's house is that they would go on to live a fulfilling life, whatever that means for that family. Grief is not something that ever ends, but we can find a way to live for the person that died. And we can even go on and help others like I've done.
Angela, your story is so powerful. We could probably wrap up the podcast right there and have made,
Mhm.
the punchline. And Angela, I really appreciate you sharing that story with Scott and I, with our listeners, with our Slaw Doggers, because this is why we serve nonprofits like this. This is why we find the core of the why and the purpose and how we serve our community. So, Angela, thank you so much for sharing that. So, outside of the purpose, what is the impact that you've seen on our community since you started Valerie's House?
I mean, 7.5 years ago, the first question some people would ask me when I told them I wanted to start a place for grieving children was, "Did that many kids really lose a parent?"
Oh.
I get that all the time, and it's yes, absolutely, every single day. Every time you look at the news and you see a car accident or a homicide, or people that like Mr. Sands, who passed away, from cancer, that this happens to families all around us. And but no one really thought about the kids left behind or the grieving spouse and how to connect and support them. So it does happen every day. 1 in 7 in our community will lose a parent or sibling. So that's a little over 20,000 kids right here in Lee County who are going through this right now. What we've done in the last 7.5 years is really break open that conversation. I think definitely more people in our region are thinking about grief, are thinking about how to support families, are getting more comfortable with saying to someone, hey, I know the anniversary of their death is coming up. How can I help you? I know that's probably a hard time of year, which it is for most families. That date, leading up to it is very stressful. We've worked a lot with employers too, who have employees who are grieving, or even the loss of an employee. How do you, as a business owner, face that? And so I think it's just our little tentacles have spread everywhere in the community, and we're only getting started. But the most powerful thing I see are a lot of the kids and families who started with us 7 years ago are still with us today and are mentoring new families coming through. So we have a lot of teens right now who started in middle school, and now they're leading groups and helping some of the newer families come through. And that to me is the biggest indicator that this is working.
Angela, this is the story behind Valerie's house is so powerful, and the impact that you have is just beginning. I mean, the amount of families and youth that you've served thus far, it's just going to continue to multiply year over year, and it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you, Taylor.
So, Scott, tell me, why did you choose Valerie's house?
Wow, I think it's a great example of leadership in the community, and I say that because I don't have a particular purpose for Valerie's House like Angela does and so many others do, but I had the opportunity to hear Angela speak at a function many years ago, right when she first started, and I was kind of blown away at that time at how articulate she was, and had really just started that program. And over the few years following it, one of her key individuals, Mike McMurray, who's a very good friend of mine, and he leads their board, who's very passionate about the program. Angela's, I'm sure, really excited about having key people like that on her team. But he really engaged me to come visit, and I think that that's the key when you go visit Valerie's house. It's hard to keep the tears back. When you see what happens, what kind of real activities and communication that they share with us, which I'm sure is just a small part of it. You really begin to realize that who I really want to support is Angela. The whole point is when people work that hard to try and make a difference in the community, it's important that the people in the community support people like that, because it's a tough job. It's a tough job to be in the nonprofit world, to be working for a nonprofit, to be fundraising for a nonprofit. So I don't want for that to be the only reason, because I have come to terms with how important their purpose is. And when I've gone to events where I've seen not just the kids talk, but the parents, the parents that are still alive talk, it's just incredible. It's not just bringing kids together; it's bringing parents together, and parents get to share their grief with each other. So I've just they've done a great job of bringing me through the process of understanding something that's so important to our community. And my hat's off to Angela, because she does such a great job, and she's so passionate about her product, about her purpose.
I love that. And, Scott, I've worked with you almost 10 years now, and there's a couple things I know about you. You love people with energy, you love people with passion, and you love to serve them. And I think that's so exciting that you found Angela and Valerie's house, and it was presented to you. I think, was it a year ago or 2 years ago that you were introduced to Valerie's house?
Um, I don't know, a few years ago.
few years ago, give or
Yeah.
take a little bit. But it's just amazing to see the impact and how this purpose and this passion has also intertwined into Scott, his community, and philanthropic efforts. So, Angela, I'm so glad that you and Scott have come together.
Me
So,
too.
Angela, how has the Paul Sands Memorial Slaw Dog Invitational helped Valerie's House over the past few years?
In many ways. First of all, I know that we were a nonprofit that was added on. They already had a couple of causes that were very important to Scott and to the board there. And so I'll remember when we got the call, I believe it might have been from Lisa initially, who said, we want to include Valerie's House this year. And I know how involved Scott is with so many others doing great work. It was definitely it was a boost. I was excited. I also know a lot of people who are involved with the tournament, who play. Some of our already people that support us, but then there's also just the personal connection to Paul and his struggle and what he went through in the end, and Lisa, and understanding that the purpose behind this is to honor someone's life. So it was even more important for us that we were involved with this one, because so many of us who lose someone have to find a meaning behind it. We have to make sure that their life wasn't for nothing and that their death wasn't for nothing. And so knowing that there was this opportunity to remember Paul, to do it annually, it's not easy to put something like that on and to continue doing it year after year. And then a nonprofit like ours being able to benefit financially, and then us paying it forward to help other families like his family, it's really special. And then it also got me an opportunity to get to know Scott better, because as Scott said, we've kind of known each other over the years, but we've really never had a direct connection to talk and to communicate. And Scott, you are someone I greatly admire too, because you've built a lot of your life from the ground up, and whether it be business or nonprofit, being around someone like you and seeing what you've done is inspiring to me. So it's an honor to be a part of this.
I'll have to put his phone on mute next time. So 12:30. Hang on one second. Let me write that down so I can cut that out. Okay. So Angela, thank you. Your story's inspiring. The impact and the purpose of Valerie's House is so inspiring. And for those of you that are listening that are feeling as inspired as I am and as Scott has been over the past couple years, Angela, how can our listeners learn more about Valerie's House and get involved?
Many ways. First of all, just if you're listening to this and you've lost someone, know that you're not alone in how you're feeling. It doesn't just end after a year. It's a mix of emotion. Grief is complicated. It's very personal, regardless of how old you are when you lost someone that you love, especially if it's someone in your immediate family, like a parent. A lot of adults find their way towards Valerie's House because of a loss that they've recently experienced. And they'll say, I just lost my mom or my dad, and I just can't even imagine going through this as a child. And so that sometimes is a way that people connect with what we're doing. I would just tell people that are listening and watching this that, we're still getting better at grief, and that sometimes you don't have all the answers either with how to help a friend who's grieving. And that's okay too. Check out our website. We have a lot of information on there on just how to help someone grieving. What do you say? What do you not say? It's under the information part on our site. If you want to help Valerie's House, you can volunteer with us and help mentor kids who have lost loved ones. You can offer services like financial planning or legal services for some of our families who are maybe trying to put together a will or an estate because they're now the single parent in the home, or maybe it's a mom or a dad who's now on their own, so they're one less income, and so they're planning for their future. So there's just a lot of expertise in the community that we're drawing on constantly. If you just have a love for kids and you're like, I think I could completely do this. I want to help. I'll be a part of one of your grief support groups. It doesn't take any special skills to be in Valerie's house and volunteering. We just need people that love and care for kids. We are building a brand new property in Valerie's house, for Valerie's house in the community in Fort Myers. The city of Fort Myers believed in us so heavily that they donated all the land at no cost. The mayor of Fort Myers has very publicly shared that he lost his mom when he was 5, Mayor Kevin Anderson, and the impact that had on him and his entire life. And now he's the mayor of a city. So to be able to share with our kids, grieving kids can do great things, which I always say. So if you have a story that is something you've gone through and you want to speak to our kids and families, wow, that would also be very inspirational. We have a brand new property. Come and check it out, take a tour. And then I think it'll probably happen naturally from there, how you can get involved. You can always call Scott, and Scott will put you in touch with me. And certainly if you want to support us financially, keep giving to the Slaw Dog. And it sounds like, this is a great way to just continue to support the community one way or the other. And Valerie's house hopes to be a part of it for a long time.
Mm.
Thank you, Angela. And Scott, we've covered a lot here on the purpose and the impact and how to get involved. Do you have any last thoughts on why our Slaw Doggers should be involved with Valerie's house?
Well, I think when I look back on a few years ago when we first brought Valerie's house in, I really brought Valerie's house in as a sponsor. Mike McMurray stood out there, I think, by the drink tent, whatever. He was a sponsor, and he took it to another level. Meaning he brought in his film crew for his company. He did a lot of video. He really shared Slaw Dog, and again, the commitment that he made to our event to help us at our event really made me look at all the people that we have at Slaw Dog, the whole business community. I mean, that is such a great target for Valerie's house. It's all local. It's all at the time of year where people are thinking about giving. And I would just say to anybody, Angela ended with, you can donate. Just go visit the house, okay? Because I believe that when you visit the house and you take a tour, you'll see an impact that you want to support. And I think that's the most important thing, because it's really inspiring to see what people are able to do and really try, and how they really try to help those and that are desperate for help.
Thanks, Scott. Angela, thank you for your time today. Scott, thank you. Slaw Doggers, be sure to mark your calendars. We're going to see you in December. If you haven't registered yet, be sure to register now. We sell out every year, and there's always a waiting list. And we're also sold out on sponsorship. So be sure to connect with Lisa or Scott to see how you can get involved today. But don't forget to register. We'll see you guys in December.